Hello, good evening. Welcome to today's session. This is Swati, your biology tutor. So, how are you? How was your day? Great. Okay. So, shall we start the session? Okay. So, today's session we are dealing with a new topic that is respiration. Okay. So, in this respiration, we have a lot of things to learn. So, I have characterized these things into three different subtopics. That is respiration in cells, aerobic respiration, and anaerobic respiration. So, today we are going to learn these three things. Okay. Are you ready? All right. So, moving to the first, we have the definition for respiration. As you can see here, respiration is a chemical process. So, chemicals are involved in this process. It is a chemical process. And what happens to this respiration? It involves in the breakdown of nutrient. Which nutrient? Glucose. Okay, so glucose is a nutrient. Glucose is a carbohydrate which is involved in this respiration process. And from where does we get this glucose? Exactly, from the food. So we are eating food. So from the food, we get this glucose. What is the purpose of this respiration? To release the energy. So in order to release the energy, respiration is carried out. So to carry out this respiration, the first step that has to be done is breathing. Okay, so we know what is breathing, right? Yes, it is a process of intaking the air, that is, intaking the air and expelling out. Okay, intaking the air. So, what are we intaking? The oxygen. Sorry. So, we are intaking oxygen. So, and what we are expelling, that is carbon dioxide. So, breathing involves two steps: inspiration or otherwise inhalation. Inhalation and expiration, otherwise exhalation. Exhalation. So, inspiration, where oxygen is taken into the lungs, and expiration, carbon dioxide is expelled out from the lungs. Okay, yeah. Then the next step is internal respiration. So, what is respiration? What is internal respiration? What is the difference between these two? So, respiration is a general process, okay? General process of breaking down the glucose into form energy or release energy. Internal respiration is same that of respiration, but it happens inside our body, okay? Internal means inside our body, okay? So it happens inside our body. And in this process, the oxygen that we are inhaling is used in the chemical reaction in the cells, within the cells. And what they are using the glucose from the food that we are eating. So they are using glucose and oxygen to release the energy. So here you can see the reaction, okay? Reaction of this respiration. So sugar. Which nutrient is present in the sugar? Glucose, right? So glucose in the presence of oxygen undergoes chemical reaction and forms energy. So forms, energy and carbon dioxide as well as water. Okay, so this carbon dioxide is not that much necessary for our body, right? So this carbon dioxide will expelled out, expelled out through the process of, yeah, through the process of expiration, expelled out through the process of expiration. Okay, and energy will be used by our body cells. Okay, and water is also used by our body cells, and excess water will get expelled out through excretion. Okay, so this is the basic process of respiration. All right, now why this respiration? Okay, why this respiration? Actually, respiration happens in living cells, right? So it happens in all living cells. And why this respiration happens in the cells? Okay, and where exactly this happens? It happens in the mitochondria. So mitochondria is a cell organelle. So mitochondria is the exact location where respiration happens. Okay, and why? Why this respiration means? So you can see there are different uses of energy. Okay, so respiration happens to release the energy. And what is the purpose of this energy? First, you can see here that is the maintenance of constant temperature. So the normal or average body temperature of a human being is 37 degrees Celsius, right? So in order to maintain this temperature throughout, it requires energy. All right. Then passage of nerve impulses. Our body is consisting of many nerves throughout our body, and these nerves will carry out the impulses from one nerve to other, as well as from the muscle cells to nerves, right? So in order to carry out these impulses, it requires energy. And for the muscle contraction, so we used to move from one place to other, or we used to move our body parts with the help of our muscles, right? So these muscle cells requires energy for doing this movement. So for the contraction and relaxation, muscle cells requires energy. All right. Then for the synthesis of protein, protein is synthesized from amino acids. Amino acids are the smallest molecules, and from the smallest molecule, it combines together to form a big molecule, that is protein. So amino acids combines together to form protein with the help of energy. So with the help of energy, amino acids will get forms to protein. Then active transport. Active transport is a process of transporting nutrients or substances from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. Okay, higher one second. Yeah, higher concentration to the lower concentration. So, for example, if there are certain nutrients are present outside the cell, and this requires much of that maximum amount of that nutrients into the cell, it needs to take up all the nutrients into the cell, right? Okay, so for that purpose, energy is an important factor that requires for energy. Sorry. Yeah. Energy is a must factor that requires for transporting the substances from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So only with the help of energy, substances can be transported. Then cell division or growth. So we used to grow bigger and bigger, right? But we require energy for growing. We require energy for doing all the daily activities that we are doing right now. Okay, so for that also energy is a must required thing. Okay, so these are the uses of energy in the human body. Okay, yeah. Now moving to the types of cellular respiration. So there are two types of cellular respiration. And before that, what is cellular respiration? So we learned respiration. We learned a new term, that is respiration, internal respiration. Now cellular respiration. What is cellular respiration? Exactly, the respirations are happening inside the cell, right? Respiration is happening inside the cell. So that is why this is called as cellular respiration, because it happens in the cells. Okay, and two types of cellular respiration are there. One is aerobic respiration and the other one is anaerobic respiration. So let's see what is aerobic respiration. Aerobic. Aero means air. So what is present in the air? There are different gases are present, but the major thing that we require is oxygen, right? So oxygen is present in the air, and that is why it's called as aerobic, because oxygen is involved in this respiration. So oxygen is a must important factor that involved in this respiration, and it is a chemical reaction that happens in the cells with the help of oxygen and breaking down the glucose, that's the nutrient molecule, in order to release energy. So complete breakdown of glucose will happen in this aerobic respiration. Okay, with the help of oxygen, glucose can break down completely and release a large amount of energy. Okay, with the help of oxygen, glucose can break down completely and a large amount of energy will get produced. And it reduces carbon dioxide as well as water. Okay, now let's see the reaction of aerobic respiration. That is, here you can see glucose, right? Glucose will get from the food and oxygen will get by the help of breathing. These two things are undergoes chemical reaction. Where does this reaction occurs? In the mitochondria. So this is the mitochondria. So inside the mitochondria, glucose will break down the presence of oxygen and forms carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Okay. So this is a balanced chemical reaction. So here you can see the chemical reaction. So glucose is C6H12O6, and oxygen undergoes chemical reaction and form carbon dioxide and water. So it is a balanced chemical reaction. How can we call it as a balanced chemical equation? So we can number the number it, like how many carbons are there, how many hydrogens are there, and how many oxygens are there. Okay, so here also carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So now say how many carbons are there in the reactant. So this is a reactant side, right? And this is the product side. So how many carbons are there in the reactant side? Yes, it's carbon. And what about the product side? How many carbons are there? Yes, 6 carbons are there. What about the hydrogen? How many hydrogen? Very good, 12 hydrogen. And what about in product side? Yes, 6 into 2. Here you can see 6 into 2, 12. 12 hydrogen. What about oxygen? Yes, here we have 6, and here we have 6 into 2, 12. So 12 plus 6, exactly 18 oxygen are there. What about here? Here you have 6 into 2, 12 plus 6 oxygen. So in total, 18 oxygens are there. So it is a balanced chemical equation, right? Okay. Now we know what is aerobic respiration, and moving to the anaerobic respiration. So till now, we have seen that respiration is a process of breaking down the nutrient in the presence of oxygen. What happens if there is no oxygen? Will this respiration happens? Let's see. So, if there is no oxygen also, respiration will occur. So, oxygen is not a required factor, okay, but it is a must required. But even if there is no oxygen also, respiration will occur. How? Okay, so in that case, an incomplete breakdown of glucose will happen. So, in aerobic respiration, we have learned that a complete breakdown of glucose happens and more amount of energy produced. But in this case, an incomplete breakdown of glucose happens and it releases only small amount of energy compared to the aerobic respiration. Okay, and it produces different products. So we have seen that in aerobic respiration, carbon dioxide, water, and energy are the products, right? But in this case, different products are formed according to the type of organism. Okay, so respiration is not only happens in human beings. Okay, it also happens in other animals and other organisms. So according to the organism, the products will be different. All right, let's see the anaerobic respiration in animals or that we human beings. So what happens inside our body when anaerobic respiration occurs? Okay, so mainly this anaerobic respiration occurs in the muscle cells. Okay, in the muscle cells. And when does this anaerobic respiration occurs? When we are doing a highly strenuous or vigorous exercise. Okay, when we are doing playing cricket or playing football continuously, if we are playing anything or continuously if we are doing exercise, anaerobic respiration occurs. Why means there will be a condition called lack of oxygen happens. Okay, lack of oxygen occurs when we are doing vigorous exercises. Okay, so in that case also respiration have to be done. Okay, even though if we lack oxygen also respiration has to be done, right? So for that, at that time, what happens means glucose in the absence of or one second. Okay. So glucose in the absence or lack of oxygen undergoes chemical reaction, but it produces lactic acid. Okay, lactic acid. So that is why, so if we are doing a highly vigorous exercise, we do feel certain uncomfortableness in our muscles, like in our thighs or in our hand and all. We feel some uncomfortable, some pain will be happens. Okay, so that is because of the presence of this lactic acid. Okay, like muscle cramps, we can see muscle cramps. So it is mainly because of this presence of lactic acid, we do feel the muscle cramps while doing this vigorous exercise. And that case, anaerobic respiration is happening. Okay, right? Now let's see anaerobic respiration It's also happening in yeast cells. So what are yeast? Why, where all we can use this yeast? For bread making, for wine making, for beer making. Okay, so in that all these things we can use yeast. So in the case of bread making, yeast inside the yeast cells, yeast are fungi, right? So inside the yeast cells, anaerobic respiration occurs. So in the absence of oxygen, respiration occurs, and what it produces means it produces alcohol, or that is ethanol. Ethanol and carbon dioxide will produces. So we used to bake the bread, right? We used to break the bread in the oven. So what happens when we heat up the ethanol? Very good. It will evaporate, right? Ethanol will evaporate. So this ethanol will get evaporate, and only carbon dioxide will remains in the dough. So that is why we can see certain holes, hollow spaces in between the bread. Okay, so when we cut the bread, we can see some small hollow spaces. That is because of the carbon dioxide is trapped in the dough. Okay, carbon dioxide is trapped in the dough. That is why we can see the small holes or hollow spaces in the bread. Okay, now next in the brewing industry. So brewing industry, ethanol, that is alcohol, will be produced. Okay, in case of wine as well as beer, alcohol will be produced, and the carbon dioxide, when we open the wine or the beer bottle, not in case of wine but in the case of beer, when we open it, a fizz will produce, right? A fizz will occurs. It is because of the presence of carbon dioxide. Okay, let's see the reaction. So glucose in the absence of oxygen, glucose in the absence of oxygen, once again, yeah, absence of oxygen produces alcohol and carbon dioxide in the yeast cells. Okay, so here you can see the balanced reaction. Here we have glucose. So how many carbons are there? 6 carbons, 12 hydrogen, and 6 oxygens are there. And here carbons, 2 into 2, 4, plus here 2. So carbon, 6 carbon, then hydrogen, 5 into 2, 10. Yes. And here 2. Right. 2 hydrogen, and here 5 into 2, 10. So total 10 plus 2, 12. And oxygen, how many oxygens are there? Here you have 2 oxygen. 2 oxygen, plus here you have 2 into 2. Yes, 4. 4 plus 2, 6 oxygen. So it is also a balanced reaction, right? So this is happening when anaerobic respiration occurs in yeast cell. So the ultimate products are alcohol and carbon dioxide. All right. Yes. Okay. So that's all for today session. And do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. Very good. Okay, then see you in the next class. Thank you. Bye.